What's going on, guys? It's New York Prepper here. In this video, I'm going to talk to you guys about the different roles in a neighborhood security force after SHTF, and I'm going to talk about different roles that people in your community can fill and the required weapons that are needed for those different roles. So this is going to be part of the SHTF Neighborhood Security Series, and I'm going to make a bunch of more videos in this series. So keep an eye out for more videos from me on this topic. So here I have a list of different roles for people after SHTF if you want to set up a neighborhood security squad. Okay, and I talked about why you would need a neighborhood security squad in a previous video. So I'm not going to really go into that now, but if you want to check that out, then go and watch my video why you need a neighborhood security force, and more of the principles behind it in that video, okay? In this video, I'm just going to talk about the roles in a neighborhood security force, okay? So here we have sniper, designated marksman, rifleman, and CQB. Okay, those are the four main roles for people in SHTF Neighborhood Security Force. Okay, and if you don't have a neighborhood, or you live by yourself in an isolated area, or you don't get along with your neighbors, you could still watch this video and you know, familiarize yourself with some tactics. So even if you don't plan to work with your neighbors after SHTF, it's still good to watch the video and learn about the different categories and different roles in a neighborhood security unit, okay? So I'm going to start with the snipers, and then I'm going to work my way down. So, all right, so first we have sniper and counter sniper, okay? Why would you want a sniper or a counter sniper after SHTF for your community security? Now, there's a lot of people on YouTube that will tell you that having a sniper is just not practical because, you know, there's no way that you can tell somebody's a bad guy from 300 yards or 500 yards or 800 yards away. And I disagree with that, okay? You have to keep an open mind for SHTF because you really don't know what your enemy is going to look like, who they're going to be, where they're going to be coming from. Nobody knows, okay? SHTF could be totally unpredictable, so it's always good to prepare for all different types of scenarios rather than just thinking about, all right, you know, most likely I'm going to get into a shootout at 25 yards or 50 yards, but you don't know that, all right? You don't know. Maybe you're going to have somebody from far away shooting at you, and you may have to take that person out, all right? There may be a sniper that gets deployed to weaken your neighborhood security force, and you may need a counter sniper to match that sniper, to take that sniper out, okay? So that's why having a sniper is good, because snipers, everybody thinks snipers are offensive, you know, just because of Hollywood and all the sniper movies and the most, you know, recent movie, American Sniper, you know, and a bunch of other, you know, Hollywood movies. They always make the sniper out to be an offensive person that's going out and taking out bad guys from a long distance. And a lot of times that's true, but there's also counter snipers, which are basically the same thing. It's just a matter of what mission they're being deployed on. So a sniper is basically more of an offensive position, and counter sniper is basically defensive, okay? The counter sniper is going to try to take out any snipers that are threatening your community, okay, or your neighborhood. That's what the counter sniper does. That's why it's called counter sniper. So in order to take out a sniper, you need a sniper, okay? A sniper takes out another sniper, okay? You can't take out a sniper with a CQB guy or a rifleman, okay? Possibly a designated marksman, you could potentially take him out. but a really good sniper that's going to be attacking your community, okay, they're not going to allow you to get close to be able to take them out with the riflemen or CQB guys, all right? So you're going to need a sniper to take that guy out. And if you don't have a sniper, it could be a real pain, okay? Because if it's a long-term SHTF situation and, you know, there's going to be all kinds of bad guys out there, all right? And not all of them are going to be armed with AR-15s or pistols. Some of them may be armed with sniper rifles and bolt-action rifles, hunting rifles, which are actually the most common weapon in the United States is a bolt-action hunting rifle. All right, like the one here, I'll show you mine, which I've shown you guys before. This is the most common type of rifle in the United States, okay? This is just a bolt-action 300 Win Mag with a high-power scope, all right? This is a very common weapon in the United States. And why is that? Because there's a lot of hunters out there. So if you're a bad guy and you need to get your hands on a rifle, it's much easier to get your hands on something like this than it is to get your hands on an AR-15, all right, which are heavily regulated in a lot of states. And bolt-action rifles, you can find them almost anywhere, okay? So a bad guy could easily pick up a bolt-action rifle and turn himself into a sniper. And if they have, let's say, a group of marauders or bad guys and they join together and they decide that they want to raid communities and stuff like that, and do marauding activities, you know, they could post up a sniper to, you know, soften you up, all right? They could, depending on what your neighborhood layout is, you know, it depends on the terrain. If your neighborhood is very open and there's very good shooting lanes, you know, and there's good distance for a sniper to set up, you better believe it that somebody will try to set up and overwatch your neighborhood and try to soften your defenses, okay? So the bad guys could deploy a sniper to take out, you know, some of your security forces also. If not, you know, what they could do is they could, you know, snipers don't just kill and you know, take out bad guys or in this case take out your security. They can also function as reconnaissance too. All right, a lot of snipers around the world in different militaries, they function as reconnaissance, not just as snipers. All right, so because snipers are trained in stealth and being able to infiltrate enemy terrain and go behind enemy lines. Because of that, they're often recruited to do reconnaissance missions and to gather intel on enemies, okay? So they, you know, a group of bad guys, if they're smart, you know, they could deploy a sniper to do reconnaissance on your neighborhood and to scope it out, see what kind of security you have, you know, where's the leader living at, where are most of the resources stored, okay? They're going to try to watch and see what your security looks like. If you have like a security patrol patrolling the neighborhood, they're going to scope it out possibly. And that's where the sniper is going to be deployed. They could use him to do reconnaissance, okay? And they could also, like I said, use him to soften up your security during an assault, all right? They could have the sniper attack your security patrol before they do an assault on all the different houses, all right? So, you know, that's kind of a scary thought. And the reason why I'm talking about this is if you read a lot of different real-world SHTF situations, all right, whether it was the Balkans, Afghanistan, Vietnam, different wars, all right, the bad guys always had a sniper somewhere. And actually, if you guys have ever heard of Paul Selko, I think that's his name, right? Paul Selko or Selko, I don't know what his first name is. He's a guy who is from Bulgaria, or I'm trying to remember, one of the Balkan countries, I think maybe Croatia. And he survived through the whole Balkans crisis in the 90s, all right? And he specifically spoke about snipers, how they were everywhere. All right, and if you guys remember the Balkans, that was in the 90s. All right, that was when the Yugoslavia split apart into different countries, and you had Serbia, Croatia, Kosovo, Bosnia, and they split apart because, you know, there were different religious groups. You had the Serbians, which were Orthodox Christian. Then you had the Muslims in Kosovo, and then you had Catholics in Croatia. So it turned into a big mess, you know, and so it was a total SHTF for a couple of years in the Balkans in the 90s, okay? And there was actually NATO missions that, you know, they were deployed to the Balkans to secure the area. So this guy Selko, I think his website is like the SHTF school or something like that. I've read like one or two of his articles based on people have told me to check him out, and you know, he talks a lot about how there were a lot of snipers posted up in the Balkans, okay? He said that, you know, not initially, but once it was like after the collapse and it was a long-term SHTF and the grid was down and everything was down, and, you know, once the SHTF was really deepening and turning into a true SHTF and every man for himself apocalyptic type of scenario, WROL. He said that there were tons and tons of snipers, and what they would do is they would post themselves up over areas where he knew that the snipers knew that people would go to, let's say, get resources, areas where people would have to cross, you know, funnels, choke points, things like that, all right? Open streets, bridges. And they would post themselves up and they would just shoot at people and take their stuff, you know. And that actually really happened, okay? And that's something that you would never think would happen here in the U.S., but it could easily happen. There's a lot of bad people in the world, and, you know, if people are hungry enough, you know, there's plenty of evil people out there that would capitalize on you know, SHTF situations. So, and then also people would get desperate and try to, you know, shoot other people, take their resources, etc. But he said snipers were a big problem, and he said because of that they avoided open areas where, you know, there would be a clear shooting lane and any kind of funnel or, you know, a choke point. You know, he would try to avoid that. So I believe that snipers are going to be a problem after SHTF, and they could potentially threaten your community, whether it's part of a larger marauding group. You know, maybe it's you know, something like a 10 or 20 man group of marauders that may just be going, you know, neighborhood to neighborhood and trying to get resources and pillaging, you know, having their way, whatever they want to do. You know, think of, you know, Negan in The Walking Dead. Something like that, you know, but not as, you know, dramatized. But a group of bad guys, you know, that are basically determined to rape, pillage, steal, you know, well, pillaging is stealing, you know, but group of bad guys that want to get their way and do what they want. Maybe they have some personal vendetta against your neighborhood. They're, you know, disgruntled people, you know, maybe the gardeners that cut your grass, they all get together and they get their weapons and they say, oh, let's go after all these freaking homeowners, you know, and their stupid grass I have to cut all the time. I'm not nothing against landscapers. I'm just making up an example, you know. You know, the landscapers could get together. They know what your neighborhood looks like because they cut your grass all the time and they cut all the neighbors' grass. So they know pretty much, you know, the layout of the neighborhood, and they know who lives where, and they may have even seen people's inside of their house, you know, so that's something to think about. I mean, a lot of people don't think about that, but, you know, people that work in different trades, you know, boiler mechanics, you know, and I have nothing against people that work in trades, but what I'm saying is a lot of those trades guys, they have knowledge of homes because that's what they do for a living. They go and fix things inside people's houses. So when they go to fix your boiler, they see everything in your house and they see that you have supplies, or they know the layout of the house because they worked on your house. So they could potentially be a threat after SHTF, and that's something to think about. They could form a group and try to raid houses, you know. But snipers would definitely be a threat that you want to take care of. And in order to take care of a sniper, you have to have your own sniper. So that's one function of the sniper is to take out other snipers. And he could either be part of a group or he could be on his own. All right. Just because, you could have a lone wolf sniper that's trying to take out people in your community and steal resources and then leave. He may not necessarily be part of a group. He could be on his own and just be like a lone wolf sniper trying to, pillage or get revenge or steal people's supplies, whatever his motivations are. But you could either have a lone wolf or part of a larger group. If he's part of a larger group, it also presents a problem because if they ever do any kind of assault on your compound or on your neighborhood, he's going to be posted up in a defensive position and he's going to be supporting the assaulting elements. All right. So when they assault your neighborhood, those are the main assaulting element that's going to be, raiding your houses and going door to door with maybe semi-automatic rifles or, shotguns, pistols, whatever. That's the main assaulting element, the CQB. They're going to be actually going into the neighborhood and going door to door and clearing houses, whatever. The sniper is going to be posted up and at different choke points, and he's going to be overwatching what they're doing. All right, so he's going to be supporting them from a long distance away. All right, and if you try to fight back against that assaulting element, you're going to have a sniper trying to take you out as you're trying to reposition your forces or counterattack. All right, he's going to be there to make sure that you don't escape the ambush, because a raid is the same thing as an ambush. A raid is just an ambush on a stationary target, okay? So if the raiders try to raid your neighborhood, if you try to escape the raid, the sniper's going to be there to clean up anybody that tries to escape from the raid, all right? And he's going to be, and also if you counterattack, he's going to be there to take you out, all right? As you reposition or counterattack, whatever you do. So you need another sniper that you can deploy to take this guy out, all right? And also to support your defensive elements as well, all right? A sniper can also be used in other defensive ways, not just taking out other snipers, but, in a situation where your neighborhood gets, attacked or assaulted, you can use the sniper to take out some of the assaulting force, provided that he can get deployed in a good position and have good, clear shooting lanes. You could deploy the sniper to take out some of the assaulting force, and they're not going to be able to pinpoint where he is, and it's going to be very frustrating for them. So they may altogether just cease their assault operation, okay? Because, nobody wants to have sniper bullets flying at them and taking random rounds. Nobody wants that, and they may just break off and try to go to the next neighborhood, So it could be a very good deterrent in addition to taking out other snipers. It's a very good deterrent. You can also post up a sniper for overwatching your neighborhood and overwatching avenues of approach, all right? And that's where I'm going to talk about, some of the things I wrote down here. But you can post up the sniper as a defensive element and, have him overwatch certain critical areas of your neighborhood or avenues of approach. If, let's say, there's a road that goes into your neighborhood and there's a long shooting lane, you can set him up somewhere so he's overwatching that road. And let's say you set up like a checkpoint at the road. So let's say you have a neighborhood where there's only one way in and one way out, like a dead end or something like that, or a typical, development or whatever. You and your neighbors can set up a checkpoint at the entrance to your neighborhood, with your riflemen and CQB guys, right? And they can be doing the checking up close to see who's coming in and out. And with the sniper, you can have him watching their back, all right? So if something gets crazy, let's say you have a group of guys that tries to ram through the checkpoint, or you have let's say you have a vehicle that doesn't want to stop and tries to ram through, or they try to take out your CQB and rifleman at the checkpoint, that's when the sniper can use his long-range capability to either take out those bad guys that are trying to force their way in, or he can try to damage their vehicles. Okay, if they try to come in with like a couple of cars, let's say they come in with like a little, like a little convoy of like 3 or 4 cars. If you have the proper weapon and you're a sniper, you can use that to take out those vehicles. All right, you can aim for the engine, you can aim for the tires, you can aim for the drivers, okay, of those vehicles, right, to stop them from getting into your neighborhood and killing everybody, or having their way, right? So you can use it for anti-material. So like I said, if there's a vehicle and they try to ram themselves in through the checkpoint that you have, you can use that for that reason, to take out the vehicle. And you're going to want to have at least a 30-06 or greater, okay? This rifle I just showed you guys is a 300 Win Mag. 300 Win Mag is a great, in my opinion, all-purpose, long-range precision rifle cartridge that could be used, and actually is used, by snipers, okay? The U.S. military uses 300 Win Mags, and various militaries around the world. It's a great cartridge. 338 Lapua. If you have a 50 BMG, that's great too. Whatever. Some of the other 416 Barrett, whatever. But you definitely want at least a 30-06, because you need to have enough energy and power at long ranges. If you use like a 6.5 Creedmoor or like a 7mm 270, those are more for anti-personnel. They're not so much good for anti-material, and they start to lose their energy and power once you cross over, let's say, 500 yards. Their energy levels drop off, because they're just a smaller cartridge and they're just not as powerful. So for anti-personnel, 7mm, 6.5, 270, those are fine, but 308. But if you really want a true sniper, you got to give them a 30-06 and greater. 30-06 is probably the bare minimum. I would go 300 Win Mag, 300 Remington Ultra Mag, 338 Remington Ultra Mag, 338 Lapua, 300 Weatherby, things like that. That's what you want. If you have a guy with a 50, that's even better. But, so you want to have enough power for that guy. So moving on from the sniper, I'm going to go into designated marksman now. So designated marksman can also function as a sniper. The thing is, with the designated marksman, he's not going to be doing so much counter sniper activities and not so much offensive sniper activities. He's more going to be supporting assaulting elements and defensive elements. That's kind of his main job. But the sniper and the designated marksman are could be the same. If you don't have a designated marksman, you can use the sniper as a designated marksman. But, ideally you want to have separate sniper and designated marksman. This way you can have your sniper with the high power weapon overlooking a long range and areas where he may need more power and more penetration. And the designated marksman is going to be more for anti-personnel. All right, so that's a big difference between the sniper and the designated marksman, is that they're more anti-material and the designated marksman is more anti-personnel. Okay? And what you're going to do with this guy is, I'm just going to circle that here. Designated marksman is just going to be supporting your patrols, your security patrols. He's going to be overwatching your patrols, similar to what the sniper does. But he's not going to have as high of a power rifle. He's going to be more like a semi-auto 308, or maybe a bolt-action 270 or 6.5 Creedmoor 7mm. All right, he's going to be using rifles like that are more for a combination of precision but also volume. So you're going to want him to have a good volume of fire versus the sniper, you don't necessarily need a high volume. The designated marksman is basically going to be like a long-range rifleman, okay? So he's going to be able to shoot out to, let's say, 400 or 500 yards and support your riflemen when they're on patrols, security patrols, defensive patrols, even for offensive operations. If you have to do an offensive operation, the designated marksman is going to be backing up the rifleman from a longer distance, but the sniper is going to be even further back, okay? The sniper is going to be 500 yards, 800 yards, up to a mile. You know, that's what the sniper is going to be. He's going to be 400 yards plus, all right? And designated marksman up to 400 yards, is, I would say, between, let's say, 100 and 200 yards, or 100 and 400 yards. But they can both, you know, function together, you know, and do a lot of the same thing if you don't have two of them, all right? Next one is going to be the rifleman. A lot of people, you know, rifleman is what you would consider the classic SHTF, you know, position in a unit, okay? The rifleman is going to have an AR, an AK, or a carbine, all right? You know, you're looking at a rifle that's going to be more for shorter ranges, let's say max 200 yards, you know, probably mostly up to 100 yards, all right? So the rifleman is going to be mostly for up to 200 yards, you know, medium, short to medium range, fairly close range. And he's going to be doing more of the security patrolling and defensive patrolling. You know, if you're going to be patrolling your neighborhood and you're going to be setting up patrols around the perimeter, or you're going to have, you know, you're going to do any offensive operations, you know, then you're going to have the rifleman do most of that work. All right. If, let's say, you're going to ambush some you know, you're going to ambush something, or you're going to raid something, the rifleman is going to be part of the main assaulting element, and he's going to be backed up by the snipers and designated marksmen. And so they're going to be more of like a general purpose, you know, position in the unit. Okay. They're going to be general purpose. So they can't go as far as a sniper, and they're not going to be as good at long range as a designated marksman, because they don't have enough equipment and training to sustain long range precision like these guys are. And they're also not going to be as good as a CQB guy at close quarters, but they're kind of like a jack of all trades. So they can do a little bit of CQB, and they can do a little bit of designated marksman and sniper work if they have to. So they're kind of like a general purpose, you know, troop. Okay, that's what they are. They're general purpose. And also they're the main element for assaults and raids, you know, especially at medium range. Okay. So these guys are going to probably have an AR-15, AK, or a carbine of some kind. And then moving on from the rifleman, you're going to have a CQB, okay? CQB is going to be very close quarters, you know, so these are going to be the guys that you're going to use for raiding or assaulting, you know, buildings and stuff like that, or situations where you're going to have very close quarters engagements, all right? We're talking about max 50 yards, but most likely up to 25 yards would be your max, you know, distance for the CQB guys. All right, that's what they're going to specialize in, and they're going to have short barrel rifles, short barrel shotguns, or shotguns and pistols. All right, so these are the guys in your community that have a shotgun and a pistol. You know, they're good for CQB. Okay, if they don't have an AK, if they don't have a 30-06 or a 300 Win Mag, or, you know, 270, if they have a shotgun and a pistol, you can post them up as a CQB guy, okay? Because those weapons are excellent for close quarters, all right? So with a little bit of training, you can make that person into a CQB guy, all right? And they're going to be responsible for raids and assaults on buildings and any, not just that, but also defensively. If you're going to use them defensively, you can have them posted up in people's homes. All right, so if there's homes in your neighborhood that are not armed, and because not everybody owns weapons and not everybody knows what they're doing, you can have them posted up in different people's homes, so, or you can even take everybody and put them into like 2 or 3 houses and leave the other houses vacant, and then protect those 2 or 3 houses and have the CQB guys sitting inside the house. So if there's any kind of raid on that house with all the people, all your neighbors in it, the CQB guys are going to be mobilized to attack the force that's coming to attack you. All right. So they can act defensively or offensively. You can deploy them defensively, like I said, in different houses in your community or in your neighborhood. You can use them for defense. All right, because if there's a group of bad guys coming in, you're going to want to have CQB guys there to defend the interior of the house, because that's what they specialize in, is close quarters. Okay. So CQB guys, anyone in your group has a shotgun or pistol, they're going to automatically become a CQB guy. All right, riflemen, anybody in your group that has an AK or AR or M1A or any kind of carbine, what is it? The Ruger carbine. I forgot the name of it. The Mini 30 or something like that. Any of those types of rifles, SKS, anybody in your group that has those is automatically going to be recruited to be a rifleman, okay? That's going to be their main job. And they're going to be training at max 200 yards. You want to train them for 200 yards or less. That's going to be their specialty. But you also want to have them practice at maybe up to 400 yards, just in case you don't have a sniper or marksman, or if the sniper or marksman get taken out, you're going to want to train them up to 400 yards, just in case they have to do some long-range support or long-range work, okay? The CQB guys, you're going to train them for max 50 yards, okay? 50 yards max. That's going to be their maximum distance that they're going to operate at and train at, okay? They're specializing in close quarters battle, all right? So they're going to be very good with pistols, very good with rifles, like short barrel rifles, or AR pistols, short barrel shotguns. That's the guys that are going to be the CQB guys, okay? Riflemen, like I said, 200 yards, and occasionally, if they have to work at 400, if you can. Designated marksman, like I said, anybody with a semi-auto 308, like an AR-10 or, one of those types of rifles, anybody with a bolt-action 270 or 6.5 or 7 millimeter, one of those types of medium-bore bolt actions, all right? They're going to be the designated marksman, all right? And then if you have anybody with a larger bore or higher power rifle, they're going to become the sniper, all right? So that's the main roles that I would say that you want to think about if you're going to form a neighborhood security force, okay? And, now's a good time with everything that's going on to talk with your neighbors and or your friends or whoever you're patrolling with, and, whatever security you're going to set up. Now's a good time to figure out, all right, Joe is doing sniper. Fred is doing designated marksman. Bob and Dave are going to be riflemen, okay? Jim is going to be CQB. Then now's the time to figure out who's who, okay, based on what kind of weapons they have. Because we don't know what's going to happen with, everything going on. I hope it doesn't get that bad, but it's always good to prepare. So, and if you're by yourself, you can still use these different roles, and you could figure out where you fit into these roles, and maybe you can cross-train yourself. If you're like a lone wolf and you don't have any neighbors, that are into this kind of stuff, and They're not gun owners, and they're not into tactical stuff. They're just, you know, regular American people. You know, that's funny, regular American people. I don't know what you'd call regular, but I guess non-preppers, you know. You find out where you fit into these categories, all right? And if, let's say you're most likely, let's say you're going to be a rifleman, because a lot of people are riflemen. Maybe you want to cross-train yourself and learn a little bit of CQB, learn a little bit of long range, all right? Learn how to shoot long range, all right? It's totally different animal than close range, all right? It's totally different. So you may want to cross-train yourself and get different weapons. So if you have to act as a sniper, you can, or as a counter sniper. You know, let's say there's a bad guy that's shooting at your house from a long range. You know, let's say you live out in the boonies or, you know, farm country, and it's wide open and there's SHTF. You may have a sniper that's going to target you, okay, because it's an easy target. You know, a big house right in the open. You know, let's say you're a farmer and you have a big farmhouse and you're wide open. You know, it's going to be very tempting for a sniper to set up, you know, in a nearby tree line and start, you know, hitting your house with bullets to try to get you to leave so he can take your supplies or whatever their goal is, you know. So in that situation, having a long range capability is going to be very critical, okay? So cross train yourself, you know, depending on what kind of terrain you live in. Or where you're going to be bugging out to is going to determine, you know, what skills you need. So if you live in the deep south and, you know, there's nothing but, you know, jungle everywhere or bayous, you really don't need to be learning too much of a sniper type skills, you know. But if you live in more open terrain or areas where there's open areas, you know, then it may be good to learn how to be a sniper, you know. Rifleman, that's always good to know for any situation, any terrain. You know, rifleman is always, you know, universal for anywhere. So rifleman skills and rifleman weaponry is probably the most universal weaponry that you can have. And that's particularly why the government wants to ban it. You know, and they want to ban ARs because they know that riflemen are very powerful force. You know, if you have a group of guys that know what they're doing with AR-15s or AKs, they can do a lot of damage. They can lay down a lot of volume. And I forgot to mention, riflemen are known for volume, okay? That's their main job, is volume of fire, okay? That's what the riflemen are going to be doing. The reason you have a rifleman is for volume, okay? You don't have them for precision. That's what you have these guys for, okay? This is precision. This is like 100% precision, okay? And designated marksman is going to be like 50% precision or 70% precision and the rest volume, you know? So here you're going to have a mixture. So snipers are going to be pure precision, long range, low volume of fire. And designated marksman is going to maybe be like 50 to 75% precision and the rest volume. Rifleman is going to be 75% volume and maybe 25% precision in the rare cases where you don't have a sniper or marksman around. And CQB is going to be mostly volume, very little precision, probably 100% volume, okay? So, you know, so that's pretty much it. You know, I hope you guys enjoyed the video, and let me know if you enjoy the series and enjoy this topic, and you know, if there's any other topics you want me to discuss in regards to neighborhood security, let me know in the comments section, and put something in the comments, and I'll try to do my best to make a video for you about it, okay? So, you know, thanks for watching. Hit the thumbs up button if you like the video, and I'll see you guys on the next one. Take care. God bless. And don't forget the 3 Ps. Prepare, practice, and persevere.